What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a quick video. One of my followers on Instagram has been asking me to take a closer look at my Mexican bootleg Gamorrean guards. And I kept forgetting about doing it because I have the terrible memory. But I decided to go ahead and bust them out and put a quick video together. And so behind my bootlegs are my licensed figures. We have a Macau made Gamorrean guard with the dark armor. There's also a light armor variant that I don't have. We have the Lily Letty made in Mexico. And then we have the two Hong Kongs with the dark armor and the light armor. So those are four of the licensed figures, all fairly common and not very hard to find. But the reason for the video is that he was asking me just to see a closer look at some of these Mexican bootlegs. I'm going to start with the less rare ones, which are these three and the ones he was asking about. And then we'll take a closer look at this extended shoulders version. But anyway, these are really strange bootlegs, and I'm sure that some of the longtime collectors out there of bootlegs will kind of laugh at the fact that I actually graded these. But I got all three of these from a buddy of mine named Trevor, who has just an unbelievable collection of bootlegs. So these are like nothing compared to what he has, and he sold them to me, gosh, about a year and a half ago, maybe. And so this is the first one. This is kind of a small, very small. You can see how it compares in size to the licensed figures, but it's a very, very small kind of bootleg. And you know, depending on who you ask, some of the vintage bootleg snobs will think that it's kind of silly that I graded this, but I just think he's so cool that I decided to go ahead and grade him. I've heard everything from late 1980s to all the way into the 2000s for these. Me personally, I've never seen anything like this being called a 2000s. I would say most of these were probably made in the 1990s, early 1990s. But this is kind of a Gamorrean guard with, this one has the brown, like a light brown uniform, black trim. You can see the paint on the hands there. You can see his feet there. I like how they encased it with the separate booty covers. And then it uses silver for his mouth, but just a really kind of wacky bootleg. And this perfectly captures Mexican bootlegs to me. Some of the Mexican bootlegs out there are just so wacky, and this is definitely one of them. But it is articulated, semi-articulated with the arms. The arms move, the legs do not, head does not, obviously, since it's molded in. Let's take a quick look at the back of it. But this one's probably the best, the best overall shape of the ones we looked at. This is labeled as a 1980s, so I don't know. It's either if it is a 1980s, it's a late 1980s bootleg. But this is the light brown uniform, semi-articulated, 75 plus was the grade. It's just really tough to find these in a high grade with the paint, and the Mexican bootlegs in general just have really poor paint that doesn't stay on very well. But this is about as good as you're going to find. One thing to note is that the arms if you ever see these for sale, the arms crack very, very easily. Around the arm sockets. So I'll show you one of those now. I think this is an unpainted example, exact same mold, but I believe this one has a crack in the arm. There it is right there. You can see it right there. So that's something to look out for. So this one got a 60 plus, mainly because of that arm crack, since there's no paint to worry about with this one. But anyway, he had all three of these, and Trevor, thank you for selling them to me. I know you're probably laughing at the fact that I got these graded, but I grade everything. So, but they did add a support strut there to CAS's credit. I didn't even ask them to do this, but I think because these things are really loosey-goosey, they decided to add a support strut on that arm because the socket was just really loose. But this is the unpainted example, and so it was probably, if I had to guess, it's probably the same plastic. This was just painted, but that gives you an unpainted example, so you can at least take a look at the mold. I'll try and capture it in the light here, so you can kind of see how the mold looks. But they're just a completely, there's a number of these that kind of came out in the late 1980s, into the 90s, and in this line, I bet if I had to guess, it's probably the same manufacturer that did like the Emperor and the Bib Fortuna and some of those other semi-articulated bootlegs. And why they made this so small versus the licensed figure, because they're all, in general, all of the bootlegs that came out around this time pretty much mirrored the licensed figure in terms of size, same 3 3/4 inch size. But why they decided to make the Gamorrean guard so much smaller than the licensed figure, the only thing I can think of is because of cost. It just cost them a lot less to make this, and but it's very cartoonish in style, and much less realistic than the licensed figure. That's my only guess, is that it cuts down the size, or the size for cost purposes. But yeah, and then the last one is the dark brown. So this one's got white paint. You can see how much different the paint applications are on this one. It's got white paint for the eyes versus black for the eyes for this one. The rest of the head, for the most part, is not painted. But these paint jobs are just completely wacky and all over the place. This one got a 75, so I assume it does not have any arm cracks. No, it does. I can't tell if that does or not. Let's take a closer look at it. Yep, this one does have an arm crack. So that 75 is probably a little generous in my opinion. I don't know why this one got a 75 and the other one got a 60 plus. So that's probably, in my opinion, that's overgraded. This should probably be a 60 or 60 plus like the other one, but for whatever reason, that's what the grade they gave it. But there you are, and they're just cool little wacky bootlegs and not particularly expensive. You can find these anywhere from, depending on who's selling them and when and what the market's like, you can find these for as cheap as probably, I don't know, 30 to 50 bucks, as high as, maybe 75, or even, I've seen them for sale for higher, but in terms of fair prices, it's probably 30 to 50 is probably about the right number. But pretty cool, and it's kind of nice to have, three different color variations. Okay, and then the last one is, part of the extended shoulder series. I got this, I don't know, about a year ago, and I finally got it graded. I bought this from a Mexican collector down in Mexico who has got just an unbelievable collection of bootlegs and Letties. He's got every single Lily Letty mint on card, literally, in every variation. So his collection is worth many, many hundreds of thousands of dollars, I would think. But anyway, he sold me this one. This is a extended shoulders series. I've got a number of videos on my channel about these extended shoulders bootlegs. In general, they're not very popular with bootleg collectors. Why? I don't know. I guess because they're not articulated, but and they're pretty simple molds. Probably what they did was they took the licensed figure. You can see how much it mirrors the licensed figure. Probably all they did was really take a licensed figure, put it slap it into a mold, and churn these out. And the reason that these arms probably have these extensions like that is that they probably had to take or do the arms separately and then just kind of mold them on there. So that's my guess. I'm completely guessing. I don't know how bootlegs are made, but these are true 1980s bootlegs. This is the easiest color to acquire for the Gamorrean guard, but in general, the Gamorrean guards and the re-yeases are probably the most of this line, of this extended shoulders line. The Gamorrean guard and the re-yease are probably the two most expensive of that group. I'd say $250 to $350 for those. The re-yeases are probably a little bit higher depending on the color. Common colors like the silver, like I have, and things like that are less expensive. But I've seen a few in light blue and things like that tend to go for more money. But in terms of the extended shoulders series, this is probably one of the more desirable ones. In terms of the colors, they come all over the map. I've seen obviously white, but I've seen the greens that kind of mirror the licensed figure colors. Those tend to be very popular and much more expensive. But I've seen red and browns and all kinds of different colors. So pretty infinite collectability with these if there's something that you like. But in general, for whatever reason, the bootleg collectors, the longtime bootleg collectors, don't particularly like these, just because I guess they're such simple bootlegs. But I like them a lot. I think they're very cool. And this one graded out at an 80 plus, 1980s Mexican Star Wars Gamorrean Guard, unarticulated bootleg, white, unpainted. So, but you know, in general, they're all unpainted and made from different colored plastics or whatnot. So, but anyway, that is about it. I just want to do a quick video. I do have a shipment coming in today from Collector Archive Services with nothing amazing, but some carded figures, mint on cards, 3 Power of the Force 2 line figures, and then 9, I believe, Return of the Jedi cards. So, they should be here sometime this afternoon, so I'll bust those out and we'll do a quick video on those. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.